I've always been saying during the content on the channel, we definitely won't get China, and then this week it looked like we were going to get China, and people were asking, are we going to get Japan? And I was like, we're definitely not going to get Japan as well. That's way too much work. Oh, I'm recording. Hey folks, today, yes, we're going to be talking about Chapter 4 content for Crusader Kings 3, the official announcement finally here. We've had those teasers every day, and yes, I was incorrect this year, but look, it is what it is. Today we're going to be talking about what is coming this year for Crusader Kings 3, and it is insane, to be honest. So we're going to look through the official post they made on the website, and then also some of the stuff that's also on the Steam page for each one of these DLCs. And we're going to starting with the Steppe. So yes, I was incorrect again. I thought we'd get China first, and then the Steppe later, once we did know it was going to be China. But we're going to get the Steppe content first. And this is going to be our core expansion, Khans of the Steppe. Some fantastic art here. And I'll put in the background some of the images of each of these DLCs that we've seen today. So this is going to be the first content of Chapter 4, and it is going to focus on the brand new nomadic government and the systems they've created to support it. It is inspired by the nomadic people of the Eurasian steppe. These mechanics will challenge you to adapt to a lifestyle dominated by the ebb and flow of the land's vitality, maintaining your herds and establishing your dominance over the region by any means necessary. We knew this was coming. I'll put a link to the video in the description down below. They've talked about some of the content coming in this DLC because they wanted some initial feedback about a month ago now. So we knew a lot of this was coming, but this is confirmation that it is going to be the first DLC. The key features of this is going to be the nomadic government. Nomads don't live in a single static location. Historically, they traveled across the steppe as climate and fertility demanded, and they've strived to recreate the experience in Khans of the Steppe. You'll guide your people and herds across the region, tapping into the fertility of the land as long as it lasts. Once resources run dry, you must migrate anew. Chieftains can roam peacefully by negotiating with their neighboring shepherds or seize new pastures by force. Again, they talked about this in that dev diary. There's going to be fertility. Once you've used that up, you've got to move somewhere else, keep your kind of herd going, and that is how you gain power in the steppe. And there's also going to be some other mechanics around that as well they're going to talk about in a second. The first part of that is the herd, representing your horses, cattle, and overall strength within the steppe. The new herd system becomes a cornerstone of diplomatic, martial, and economic actions. Use it to fuel your war bands or as a currency in your negotiations. Again, they did talk about this before. It is how it says here, a currency. You use them to bring up your like men-at-arms that are linked to it, or you could trade away your herd for like marriages and all that kind of stuff as well. So an interesting new currency here. I'm not a massive fan of loads of currencies in a game, but I think this one does make sense. It's thematic towards this kind of gameplay, so I'm not too mad about that one. The next bit is dominance. Prove your might on the steppe through dominance, increasing it alongside your power and territory. At its highest level, you can even claim the mantle of Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. So yes, we are going to be playing out our Genghis Khan dreams, and there's going to be a bunch of content around this as well, which we'll see in the Steam page. The last part they highlighted here was seasons and survival. Life in the steppe is harsh, affected by the changing climate and weather patterns. A white Zud could blanket the land in snow, decimating fertility and putting pressure on you to find greener pastures. Meanwhile, milder conditions could bring bountiful growth to your herds, ushering in a period of prosperity. And they did show this off in that dev diary again, where the steppe has this weather system. You could have these harsh winters, you could have these bountiful summers, and that is going to dictate how powerful certain areas of it is. I think if I remember correctly, it was split into 3 areas. So, you know, the ebb and flow of that is going to move around the realms as they kind of take advantage of that. Or maybe you get cornered in a very bad winter and it's going to cause you a lot of problems. But that is going to be an interesting mechanic only for this area of the map. I hope it does expand elsewhere in the future, but that is what we're getting to start with. And then the other news as part of this is the Khans of the Steppe is coming out on April the 28th. With dev diaries every Tuesday until then. I'll be covering them all on the channel. So if you are interested, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we'll be covering this all the way up, and then I'll be doing campaigns and all that cool stuff. So yeah, that is coming soon. Now we will quickly check the Steam page. There wasn't anything too crazy on here. The first part was the nomadic government, which we already know about. The steppe region, the same things, talking about how it changes. The next is tributary systems. They didn't mention that in the main post, but this is going to be where tributes are coming into the game finally, and there's different ways you can use these to get some benefits, and it isn't like a full vassalization, but you can use this to benefit your realm. Become Scourge of the God, which is already in the game, but I guess, you know, this is a different version of it. This is taking up the mantle of Genghis Khan and unite the steppe under your iron rule. Lead devastating conquests across the known world, crushing empires beneath your banner as you fulfill the prophecy of the Scourge of God. That is going to be some cool gameplay, and, you know, trying to combat that as well. And then the last bit, Mongolian flavor. I'm kind of surprised this wasn't in the official post, but it is in the Steam one. Dive deep into the traditions and culture of the Mongols. Begin your journey with a new bookmark as Temujin, the young and ambitious Genghis Khan, poised to change history forever. Experience the Kurultai Council and a new Mongolian succession type, which is really good. I mean, I thought this would come in as part of this content, but we are getting the Mongolian succession and how that worked historically. Engage in immersive new activities and traditions such as New Year celebrations with Tagasan Sar. So we're going to get a bunch of content around the Mongolians. Now, the thing is, I thought we get China first because there's going to be Mongol content related to China. Obviously, historically, they did a lot of stuff in China. So I guess we're getting all of this. And then I wonder if there's going to be some content that we also get as part of the China DLC that will like unlock at that point that isn't going to be talked about yet. I guess that might not happen. But I'd be surprised if there isn't any Mongolian specific content as part of the China content. So we'll find out more in the future. The other DLCs we're going to talk about next, they don't have as much information because, of course, they've already talked about this Steppe content. So we knew some of this stuff already. The other two are a little bit less on the content. Well, I say the content, like what they're going to show us. There's insane amounts of content coming as part of them. So that is the first one. The next DLC we're going to get, and this is going to be coming out in Q3. So not too long, pretty much following the same release as last year, kind of like the cadence of releases. This is, as we thought, the Coronations event pack. Beyond the Steppe of Eurasia, Chapter 4 introduces a new event pack simply titled Coronations. In the medieval world, a coronation was more than just a gathering. It represented the moment where earthly and divine legitimacy converged. And as part of this coronation activity, this is how we thought these would work. Coronations function as a new activity type, letting you experience the event firsthand, coordinate with religious authorities, and conduct the perfect ceremony to establish your right to rule in the eyes of your vassals and subjects. Plan it wisely, however, because the consequences of this activity can echo through your entire reign and beyond. So I guess this is going to bring in some kind of modifiers that affect your legitimacy, maybe. I wonder if it's going to like cap out your legitimacy if it goes very badly, or like boosts it maybe like a level 6 of legitimacy if you can get this unlocked. I'm not too sure. Let me know what you think in the comments. We don't really have any other information about this. On the Steam page, they just mention again the new activity. Take an oath to decide upon how your rule will turn out. Bring together your vassals for a large ceremony to celebrate your new rule in the realm. And then new counselor and vassal events. So I guess if it goes very badly, I wonder if your vassals potentially bring up like an independence faction or something like that. Say, look, we don't think you're supposed to be the ruler. We're going to split away, or maybe we're going to try put this other person in charge. Bring some more sense, I guess, maybe to some of the factions that you see. Again, let me know what you think. That's all the information we got on this. It is an event pack, so there's not going to be anything too crazy as part of this. But the way this works, I think, is a good way for these coronations to work. They were very good in CK2 once they were added. But this kind of step up to an actual activity in CK3 is a great way for these to go. And I'm sure this will get expanded. Once we do get that HRE rework that we keep talking about, when that does happen, I'm sure we'll get some really cool content around that as well. But that is going to be the second DLC, that is Coronations. The last one, and this is even further than even I thought it would go once we knew it was going to be China, and that is All Under Heaven. This is the major expansion. Chapter 4's flagship major expansion, All Under Heaven, is set to be the largest and most ambitious expansion in Crusader Kings history. They do say elsewhere it expands the map by 30%, and you'll see why once we get into this. We're completing the map of the medieval world by extending its scope across all of Asia. This massive expansion brings new gameplay, unique governments, and entirely different perspectives on life in the medieval era. And the key features of this is, like I say, some really cool content coming here. Again, the main page here really kind of undersells it. And if you just saw this page, you'd think, wow, this is awesome. There's loads of stuff coming. But then if you go to the Steam page, you'll see exactly how much content is coming. So we'll cover this one first. So the key features: from Ireland to Cathay, from the celestial might of Imperial China and the unique governments of Japan and Korea to the god kings of the Indonesian archipelago. Each new area in All Under Heaven features new cultures, faiths, and flavor. So I guess they do cover it a little bit there, but it's kind of lost in all this text here. We are getting Japan and Korea and full content for them. So we'll see more about that in the Steam page, but it is kind of called out a little bit there as well. The next is Hegemony. To properly represent the power and influence of China in this period, they've introduced a new tier of title above an empire, the Hegemony. We could have called it the God Emperor, but I guess we best not do that. This new title tier allows for further granular representation of the division of power within large-scale realms. So this is only in China to begin with, but I wonder if it will spread elsewhere, or the mechanic at least could be used elsewhere in the future. Dynastic cycle is the next part. The fate of the imperial dynasties follows a cyclical pattern, reflecting the historical eras of stability and eras of chaos. Players will struggle to maintain the mandate of heaven and prove that they are the right choice to navigate the empire through these treacherous waters. And then the last part is Imperial Treasury. A new centralized treasury system for the Chinese emperor represents the flow of wealth upwards and into the empire's coffers, letting you decide how to spend or squander resources that can make or break the stability of your realm. There is no release date announced at this time, as it says here, although we do know it is Q4, and we'll get more information about this in the future. They do say the in-depth developer diaries will start around about May for this, so I guess we're going very early with the information about this. I mean, the amount of content there is to cover, if they just did like 1 month for China, one for Japan, one for Southeast Asia, and then they've got plenty of other dev diaries to cover all the other content coming as well, even outside of the locations themselves. So I guess it does make sense. Around May or June, we're going to start getting information about this DLC. So that is very early. They learned a lot, I think, from last year, which they did say previously about giving us information earlier. They can also, as they did with the Steppe DLC, make changes based on our initial feedback. And then, as I said, the Steam page also had a little bit more information, and it is broken down to kind of each area of the map. So the first part is China, the Mandate of Heaven. Most of this was covered on the website version. Ascend to the new hegemony title, navigate the dynastic cycle, utilize meritocracy, a unique Chinese government system, earn merit through deeds or imperial examinations, gaining favor and influence. We know the Imperial examinations, that was one of the pieces of art in the teasers recently, and it is confirmed as coming into the game as well. So it looks like merit is going to be a version of prestige, maybe, kind of how we have influence for admin realms. I wonder if that is how this is going to work. And then manage the Imperial Treasury to fund great projects, defend against disasters, or expand your influence through statecraft and might. So I guess the Imperial Treasury might be a separate currency outside of your general gold as well. And then you can use that to fund things in here. Kind of how herds are going to work for the Steppe. It looks like that might be how it works for China, but it is going to be this Imperial Treasury on top of your usual kind of character-based money as well. But we'll find more information about this in May and beyond. The second section here is Japan, Rise of the Shogunate. Take control of a Japanese clan and forge your destiny. Rise through the intricate courtly system to become a mighty shogun or a regent. Strengthen your position through alliances, intrigue, and ritual, or unite the clans through the strength of your samurai armies. Which path you take will be up to you to decide. So it is going to play out. It sounds like different to all the other types of government. Maybe it's semi-based on admin, but changed a lot as to how it works here as well. Lead the Imperial Yamato clan to restore power to the Emperor, ushering in an age of imperial grandeur. And then the last one, experience the rich cultural traditions of Japan, where honor and scandal intertwine, shaping the lives of lords and vassals alike. So this is crazy. I didn't think we'd get China, and we did. Then I said we weren't going to get Japan, and we are going to get Japan, and we're going to get a whole bunch of content. Like, there's so much content, and we haven't even got to the rest of this yet. So I can see why they're starting the dev diaries pretty early for this DLC. And then the third area is Southeast Asia. Rule as a Davaraja, I probably butchered the pronunciation there, with a Mandala government, uniting tributaries in vast temple-centered empires. So this does confirm that tributaries are coming to elsewhere in the map. They're not just going to be in the steppe, which was initially what some people thought. And then you can pay tribute to the God King by performing tributary missions as a tributary ruler, increasing favor with your subjects. So it looks like there's going to be some special mechanics around this area of the game as well, and that is going to be really cool to see. So that is the three areas: China, Japan, Southeast Asia. This is insane how much content we're getting in this DLC and how many areas are coming to the game in one go, in one DLC. It's really going to change the game forever. I can't wait for this. And then the other changes coming as part of this DLC is the Silk Road, new bookmarks and flavor. So we are getting the Silk Road before we get the Merchant DLC. We've been talking about this all week. Oh, if we get China, will we get the Silk Road, or would they save that for the Merchant and Trade DLC? But we are getting it in the game with this. It does make sense, but I guess it's kind of surprising we're going to get this and then Merchants next year, I guess. But anyway, that is how it's going to work out. So thrive among the expansive Silk Road by profiting from the wealth and innovations of China, even if you are far beyond its borders. So this is how this DLC is going to kind of move west and really affect the rest of the game as well, using the Silk Road and seeing what changes that brings into the rest of the world. New historical starting bookmarks bring in fresh perspectives and historical challenges. Play as iconic characters from the past or forge your unique path. So maybe we're going to get some different start dates. It does say different bookmarks. I don't know if this means we're going to get an actual start date difference. There's some very interesting characters around this time. If you watch the Shogun TV show that came out, I think last year, that was a fantastic TV show. Do watch it if you haven't already. I wonder if we'll get something based around that part of the shogunate history. We'll find out during the year, of course. And then the last bit, immerse yourself in East Asia's culture, artistic, and historical nuances with a new throne room, events, and traditions. And I'll put them on the screen again now. I'm sure I've done during this video. The new throne room looks amazing. And that new art style we saw with the DLC last year has carried on into this year. So the traveling capital of the Khan and things like that, that's using the same kind of graphical look as the estates and your unlanded home look like. So I'm really glad they've carried that on. I really like that art style. I agree with most people. It would be cool if they went back to some of the older content and put that art style into that. But I really like it. I'm glad they've carried that on. I'm sure they had this DLC in mind when they initially started using that last year. And with that, guys, that is all the announcements from today. Absolutely crazy we're getting all this year. I think this is looking like it could even be better than Chapter 3. I thought Chapter 3 was the best year of DLC that we got, but this looks like it could be even further than that. I know there's going to be some people kind of upset that we didn't get any DLC for the rest of the world, and that is why I initially thought it wouldn't be China, because there's so many areas of the map that don't have any DLC, but I see why they put them together. China, Mongols, if you're going to do it in the same year, and then that whole section of the map, that whole kind of like northeast, now eastern side of the map is going to be pretty much finished, and then next year and beyond, they can go back to the rest of the map and make those improvements. I am a little bit disappointed we're not getting HRE rework, a proper Crusades redo, you know, France content, Africa especially. I wish we got Africa content. India is getting a little bit of this, I guess, because it's so close. It would be affected, I guess, a little bit by this. And then also like Poland, the Slavs. I wish they got content as well. But I guess 2026 and beyond, that is where the game will go back to focusing on. So if you're not too happy about this coming, I understand that. And again, I was initially in that camp, but seeing everything that's coming, it just looks so good. The amount of content we're getting this year is absolutely insane. So do make sure if you watch this far, you've subscribed to the channel. I'm going to be talking about this all year. There's so much we're going to be covering, all the dev diaries. I do live streams where we do campaigns, and I also do videos just talking about the game in general, where the game's going, all those kind of things. So do subscribe if you haven't already. Hit like if you made it this far. You must have enjoyed the video. It does help more than you probably realize with expanding who sees my videos and all that kind of stuff. But we'll leave it there for today. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below about all of this. It's so crazy. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy your week, your weekend. I'll be back soon with another video, but I'll see you next time.